All right, what's up, everybody? Just waiting on Richard to get in here. Should be here shortly. Apologize that somebody's dog is barking insanely loud. So, today we're hoping to give maybe some updates and have a live discussion about, kind of what we're doing and providing food solutions and talking to Richard about his opinion, kind of the issues that we're facing in the near future as far as the food supply goes. So he said he was joining into the restream now, so should have him shortly. There he is. I think he's in there now. Let's see if we can get him on here. There we go.
Hello, hello.
There we
Yes,
go.
good.
How's it going?
All right, yeah. It's been a busy day. Every day is getting a little more busy, it seems. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Guess
No,
that's what we're asking for, isn't it?
no, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of at that point where we're ready to move and move quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good. So today, let's see. I can also go on the X, right, on my phone at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, I'm on there now as well. There is like
Okay.
a maybe a 1 second delay, but we've got the link
Mhm.
in the comments for people who want to join.
Right. I'm gonna try it just for fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what all were you up to today?
Well, I have been talking with Anne and talking with Peter Bilsing, mostly talking about stuff in Europe, happening in Europe. So, yeah, that's it. A little bit with Aubrey. Aubrey's headed to China today, to Beijing. Will arrive later today.
Nice,
Mm-hmm.
exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, he's gonna get things happening fairly quickly. Since he's done a lot of organizing and, basically going back there now to really mobilize, not last times it's been not, feeling, so productive because, setting things up and, you
Takes
never quite sort of get the visible results. But I think now he's in a position he's gonna get things happening fairly quickly. So that's great.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm hoping that Jai can join us. He said he might be able to make it, but you never know with the you know Wi-Fi out
Mm-hmm.
there, whatever. But
Right. So now I'm looking for the link for the X for the when I go to your profile, usually it's sort of lit up, and if you click on the icon, it says, and you have a space going on, and you can just join right from your profile. But right now it's not showing that, so that's how I thought I would join in on the space, but that's okay.
it's
I'll
interesting because the loop is kind of on my profile picture on what I'm looking at on my phone. So I don't know.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
it
So,
says
but
if I
mhm.
click on it, it allows me to join the live video. So I don't know why.
Right. Okay. So let's see now. Okay. So I found link to the space, global food supply shortage, and so on. And I'm getting now a message is being displayed that it's canceled. So I don't know why that would be. Um, like the actual space is not happening. Maybe because the restream sort of takes it over or something. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
Like I
link the link in the thing is working. Like if you click on our discussion, it leads you right to the live stream, like right here.
yeah, no, I did that. Yeah, that's working. I'm just like trying to simultaneously sign in on X, to simultaneously have the space open on X as well as here on Restream. So I don't know if it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because it allows me to edit the space, and it acts like it's not open. So I
Yeah,
think
in fact, it says space canceled.
I
Which,
think the restream opens up a new link or something. So yeah, I'm not sure why that does that. But they're
okay.
both synced in the background, so it's,
Right. So that's kind of an issue because, at the same time, some people may be looking to join us on X,
right.
and
Yeah.
they're going to see that the space is canceled instead. So that is not great. Maybe you can sort of reopen a space open a space on X. Right now we could just tweet it. Post it out, and people looking for it would find it. But then we could post the Restream link on that. Like in the.
Yeah, I thought that's what I did.
Oh,
But
okay.
let's see. I think I can do this now.
Okay.
So let me edit this. All right, now let's start now.
I mean, if they come to your profile, they definitely do see the Restream. So they can maybe conclude that that's where we are.
Right.
It is there. It does look. It is looking like it is live, and
All right. Well, it's open there as well now. So
okay.
I'm not sure what it shows, uh, but I can look
Okay,
in.
yeah, I see it now, and it says start listening now. So I'm going to click on that and come in, and then we've got this happening, and we've also got an X happening, but they're not they're not a simulcast. They're not actually like the same. Probably not. You know what I mean? They would have. Well, they would have the same content, I guess, because it's live in both places, right?
Well, I've got the.
So, I mean, it would end up being the same thing because it's live, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Both.
But we've got
Yeah.
Prophet just joined us on the other one, so I'm not
Well, there we
sure
go.
how.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
just
guess it's
right.
not connecting to the other one. I don't know. This is
So
only the second time with this thing.
yeah. So although it's like not, you know, exactly restreaming the X thing, but it is a simulcast. It's happening exactly at the same time. So if you're on X, you hear the same thing we're saying that we're saying here, right? So.
Right. Yeah. So now we'll have two, and it does seem like people joined the other link. So yeah, we'll have to figure out what the issue is why people can't
Yep.
join on X.
Right.
Maybe there's something I haven't linked in the background correctly, but it says that we're on it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll have to figure that out, because that is an issue. We're supposed to be live streaming, so you should be able to join from X.
Right.
But you can clearly see it on X, so it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. We'll gotta gradually figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
So I will. So
If you repost this link that's pinned on mine to your profile, people will see the same thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I will do that. Yeah, I can do that. The pin post. Yeah, I can like it and repost it.
But yeah, I'll
Yeah.
mess with it later, and I'll figure out why it's not doing that. But I mean, this is only the second time we've done it, so you know.
And then additionally now. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Okay. Whoa. Huh. I don't know. It seems like I lost, like I was on the X space. It seems like that X space just disappeared again. Is it possible? Are you still on it?
Yep. No, I'm still on.
Do you still see me?
Yep, you're still on there as
Oh,
well.
okay. All right. Well, let me see. I can.
Yeah, it looks like we are having an issue with the connection between the X and the Restream because, yeah, I'm not getting anything on Restream.
Okay.
Some spam. That's about it in the chat.
Oh, it seems like I was not there. Now I'm have start listening again. With there's two others there. Maybe it's me again. I don't know. It's like I'm gonna come in twice. No, no. All right. Well, let's open up our mics on X because now I see you, me, and Mike Prophet.
Yep. Yeah, my mic's on X, so people should be able to hear me. Let's see if I can get you. Okay, you should be on as a speaker.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got to watch out for sound. There we go. I turned off my.
Yeah, it's still probably going to reverb. Oh, well.
Yeah, there's going to be issues about.
Yeah. So I guess we could maybe just I'll figure it out. I can't get out of this live stream to mess with anything, or it ends the whole thing. So I don't. I thought this was going to work. It says that we're live streaming on X on here, so I don't understand what the issue is.
Well, maybe we'll just check it. My mic request sent. I don't know. It looks. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave the X.
Okay. What? Yeah.
And when you see people come up on the X space, you can suggest that they come on the Restream. They use the Restream link.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to think. I'll probably I don't know. I have to figure something out where people can come directly from X because it seems like they're joining on X, but nobody is joining through Restream. So
and Restream on Restream, I think I'm seeing now the chat in the chat. We do have Joseph.
yeah, I think that was spam.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
okay.
It's dropping a Discord. So
Oh okay, right, sure. All right, that could even be a bot, right?
yeah,
In some ways.
yeah, it's from Discord, so it's not anybody we know. Or so, well, people can see us now on your site. So if people come directly to the site, but
okay, yep.
I mean, so we could start the discussion now if you'd like, and or we could try reschedule and shoot for it again tomorrow or something. But it's up to you.
Yeah, I kind of think we still don't quite have it all together that people can easily join in, and I guess like again we could catch up and maybe someone is listening. You can see if people are listening or
yeah, neither one. Mike's listening, and Prophet was trying to get in, but it seems like it's
working. And then this anyway can be listened to after the fact as well.
Yeah.
And so what we could do is just treat this like we were doing back a couple months ago. We were just basically doing our business, having a catch up and talking about what's going on, and that is basically one of the reasons why people tune in anyway, is just to get the news of what's happening. And Mike is listening. Okay, he's just
nice.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I guess.
let's do that then. Yeah, we
Well, I
can
think that people can listen in and comment here. They just have to click.
comment.
They
Yeah.
have to click the right link. You
Right.
know.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, so people can find us directly from our profile on X.
so what
And
I think the issue is next time is I'll send this without scheduling anything on X. I'll send this restream out and not schedule one on X, and
uh-huh.
then this will be the only link. So I believe then that it will do better
Okay,
instead of
sure. And then
scheduling.
we post it. We just put it up on our profile on X, and so X becomes a funnel, right? It's just another avenue to bring people into our discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we that can be a general working principle there, and then maybe down the road we can add to it. We can figure out some more possibilities.
We're also
um,
live on YouTube and Twitch right now.
oh,
So
I see. Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right. All right. So good, good. Yeah. So as we started up here, I was saying, yeah, busy. Yeah, I think we're both getting quite busy right now, and I think it's going to just grow. Well, one of the other things happening is uh, Daniel Mai Malai. Anyway, his last name I'm still not quite sure pronunciation there,
Yeah.
but Daniel in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Who's the ANU initiative? Yeah. Um, so he's going to be in the uh,
The Heat.
Belgium. Yeah, I think it's Brussels. I think it is ETH conference. It's happening now. I guess the next 4 days.
Yep. So he's going to be out there.
Yeah, yeah, and he's going to present on Family Food Bank, and the Pyropod as a NFT,
Nice.
sponsored projects for families. Yeah, so I think that and I think in that it's just to perhaps gather more support
Yeah.
and maybe enlist a couple more technical people that can help put the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Um, so that is exciting. Um, and I was talking with him yesterday, just sort of on the general sort of where this could go right now. Again, bringing him up to date. So basically, what I could say, is that yeah, I was telling him that. So we've got one of the pyropods will be completed soon, which will be Aubrey's in British Columbia, Canada, right? So West Coast Canada,
Yep.
and then there will be, of course, be one more, which will be Jai's project in Mexico at his manufacturing plant. And I sort of have a feeling that what Jai will ultimately do there is have one at his farm, and I think that'll be an ongoing also sort of experimental site, right, and testing evaluation, and then I think we're going to have a half a dozen other projects that can be delivered, and what we're working out in order to do that is it would seem that the best way to get people operational with one of these pyropods, and this one I'm also calling it the pyropod DIY, because we do have different models and versions, and but what we've been looking to do is to create a version that is really really easy to to put it up um, with people that are doing this for the first time. They won't be, they won't necessarily be experienced. They may not even be, very, experienced with construction or maybe some of the other technical issues. And yet we want them to be able to build this thing, make installations, make it operational, and join in on being an end user, right? Because that's the actual goal, of course, is to get your hands on this to grow food
Right.
and experience the climate control system operate, the aquaponics and become part of the network that is evaluating. And basically, what we mean, evaluating is keeping data on how much food you're harvesting. And so the project should harvest, quite a quantity of food, more than enough for family or an extended family. And this is why it's a backyard sort of food bank, right? That you can just go out there and every day you have food security, and you're not, just go out there and get your food.
Right.
And yes, you have to have capital to build it, but you don't need anything but your labor and your know-how to go and harvest it, right? You don't buy very many inputs in terms of operating.
Right.
So that is the key. It is almost like free food, right? And the slogan is forever fresh, free food. And why we say forever? Well, because this technology has a long life. The structure is really like generational. You can pass it on to your kids. the
Right.
the cover system, yes, it is the types of materials we use right now. You may renew them in, say, 10 years. So you might say, okay, well, that's not forever free, but we will have materials that will last practically forever. So,
Right.
in many ways, when you get the growing system, get it installed, you have to learn how to use it, of course, and apply it, and all of that. So there's certainly going to be a learning curve. But once you got this going, you just get better and better. And also we want to have like AI um, guidance, that you can get on your smartphone, and maybe we'll have a panel even. Ultimately, maybe we've got some interface right in the PowerPod,
Right.
and that you can get updates, and you can get you know
Yeah.
make inputs and outputs there in terms of knowledge, right, and how to operate it and so on. Um, but basically, other than those kind of inputs and outputs, um, we don't have much in the way of costs.
Right.
We're not consuming energy. We're not consuming water. We're not looking for fertilizers and inputs of that kind. It's regenerative, producing its own inputs for growing.
Yeah.
So can we call that free? Except of course for the capital cost. But if something is generational and it's growing so much food for year after year, you're going to forget about that capital cost down the road. Um,
Yeah.
the kids won't be thinking about the capital cost. That's all already going to be long behind you.
And the measurements of this one is the approximately 19 feet tall.
Yeah, it is approximately maybe as much as 20 foot tall or so, and about 17 feet by 17 feet on the side. And I say about, actually, I shouldn't say about, that's exactly what the size is, right? And because everything is prefabricated, everything is according to our very precise 3D digital drawing file. And that's where people can get the information about when they want to put up the structure, that they can prefabricate that structure just following the exact details of fabricating it. And the structure basically bolts together. So if you make all the parts the right length and put the bolt holes in the right spot, within millimeter, I mean, tolerances can be quite exact today.
Right.
And So either yourself, you can go out and get a shop, or maybe you've got the skills to fabricate these metal, structural components, and then you can erect it very simple with bolts and assemble it. And you do have a little bit of site prep, and you have to learn about that as well, and the footing, right, the footing system. But it is also a minimum footing, one of the reasons that we can go with a minimum footing is that when you get it operational, you put tons of water into the base, right? So the whole structure is basically anchored by tons of water that
Right.
is basically part of the structure. So it's not going to blow over. It's not going to, it's not going to,
Right.
blow away in the air or something with a big heavy wind or something like that. So yes, we have a minimum footing and sort of site prep, and then erecting this bolted structural frame, which we've worked on it to get it very bare bones and simple and straightforward to do that and fabricate those components and put them up. And then you got to put on the cover. And that's what encloses, right? And that's when you can go inside and you've got a climate controlled space. And so that cover system, that's the most complicated component. I think that it would be very challenging for anyone to do it just because of the accuracy and the competence in terms of fabrication. And this is where we get into the tent making skill, right? And this is where Jai can produce these components in Mexico. Now, it is a tent, and each of these covers, so it's a modular cover, and each package will be just a small shipping package because it's fabric, right? It rolls up, yeah, like a sleeping bag or like a tent, right? Any tent or anything you do like of that nature, familiar with this kind of thing. So it doesn't include any other material like a tent. You take the tent poles out, right? Tent poles, tent pegs go in a separate
Right.
bag, and then the tent itself, the fabric, rolls up and goes in, another bag. And so this is what we would do is, the customer follows our directions and does the structure, and then we can send in one bigger package or 4 shipment packages. It depends. We can send it directly to the customer, or what we're calling right now the pyronauts, right? Because these are not really customers.
Right.
We're looking for co-development partners in a way, right? We're calling them pyronauts.
And then once Jai gets these things up and going, then we'll be definitely looking for customers. But
Yeah.
right now, we're
In,
still
in
in the
fact,
position.
I really think we're in a mode right now that if someone wants in early and like they want one of these, because we're not going to do that many in this alpha. So what we're doing now is like alpha installations. I think it should be between half a dozen, maybe maximum, maybe a dozen or so. Now, if it turned out a lot of people want to do it, they just want to join in, I'm sure Jai would be happy to have the orders, right?
Yeah. Nice.
And, but then for us, it's more people giving us feedback at a very early stage, right, of adoption, right? So first sort of field testing. So this is why we don't want too many, because we don't want too many
Right.
feedbacks, which could be at this stage, right? Could be bugs, could be issues, could be what people are seeing that they need some help.
Yeah.
So we want to help not, a whole bunch of people have a whole,
Yeah.
sort of bunch of problems. So in other words, we don't want to volume produce our any glitches, any bugs, any problems. We want to do a small number, get a feedback, and then do a beta phase, right? Production. So this is alpha, and people have to probably put up with that. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, I really, really don't think, although we've worked on this so much, and Aubrey is producing his, like that's almost done. So we do have his feedback. We will have Jai's feedback.
Yeah.
That's the production model on site at the manufacturer. He will see problems and issues and he will correct them as well. So when we do start shipping out to others, I'm not trying to say they're going to have a struggle with
Right.
this.
No.
But we're still so early that obviously we're going to get,
Yeah.
a lot of knowledge back from the pyronauts and the alpha alpha stage people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got a call here at in 2 hours or so with Pace finally.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So hopefully I can,
Mm.
I've sent them pretty much everything we've got and briefly explained to them. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, I'm hoping that that conversation goes well.
Oh, that is really good. Where's the location?
It's for the Kansas City project, but
Yeah.
he's out of NorCal.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. I mean, offices don't really care sometimes where their projects are,
Yeah.
and you are, of course, right there in that district, right? And so, it does make a lot of sense that we can do that on the first go.
Oh yeah, I
So,
told him the location was Kansas City, and he was like,
yeah.
"That's fine." He's like, "We're
Mhm.
we're working up there." He's like, "That won't be an issue." So
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, we'll like who was saying we want one. I guess it
oh yeah,
was
in every state.
in every state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Rolf, wasn't it? He was saying, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna keep going with this, and plant the seed of the technology." Um, so, and really, in many ways, that's what the Pyropod is doing too, at a very small scale, much smaller scale, so that we can also have a lot of these projects going out. Widespread knowledge and adoption. That is the goal. So,
No, I really think too when Jai gets going, we'll have so much good video and so much good content on that that's
mhm.
gonna just drive people's interest, through
Yeah.
the roof.
And just for the people listening too, to clarify, yeah, the Pyropod is small. It's a backyard, square footprint, 17 by 17. But the one you're talking about, Stephen, is 10,000 square feet. So yeah, when we do that, we're also going to look for alpha, first up, early stage investors and owners and customers. Uh, but that's a really commercial stage. So a commercial scale of use.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, well, you know how it is. It's sometimes easier to get funded for the big ones than
yeah, yeah,
small ones.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, we should talk about that too. Is that and one of the aspects about Solaroof is that it's a global network of open source collaboration, commercialization. Each one of these entrepreneurs is bringing their own expertise and capabilities. When we look around the circle, it makes us very, very capable of delivering these projects. Um, and of course, and there's good people in Norway because that's where I last was really commercializing. Now, of course, I'm in Canada right now. We have commercialization in USA there and in China, as we're just talking about Aubrey going to Beijing today and will be looking to establish, these physical projects, field testing, and of course he is implementing in his own backyard the Pyropod, and now we'll do the Pyro Farm and Pyropods in China as well, and then we have people in Europe because that's I operated previously out of UK and then Norway, and but we planted the seed of this uh, widespread adoption. Uh, there's many countries in Europe right now where there are people that are very interested, and I think they'll all be considering a project, in probably fairly soon, and then so many people we don't know that are just going to say, "What is it you're doing?" And can how
Yeah.
can they get involved too? So I'm looking forward, as we said, to that getting very busy in that sense. It'll be great.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we're at that point, and that's the hardest thing to really kind of convey to people in general is kind of like how strong our global network is in this projects that we're doing. Like we're literally people are just waiting to essentially. I think a lot of people want a more commercial project. They
Mhm.
want something that they know is kind of going to work because just risk and stuff is very complicated for people. So I think
Yeah.
once we hit that, it's going to
Mhm.
be, like you said, mass adoption. So right now it's kind of like the ground floor for people who are interested in becoming essentially franchisees with us and helping
Mhm.
us
Mhm.
spread the technology once it is commercialized, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So we're always open. Anyone wants to just connect, with you, with me, to inquire, how they could get involved or what the stage we're at, or just keeping in touch with what is happening. That's why we do have these meetings. We'll do this weekly, um, and yeah. So when we look at the different scale of use, right? So we have like an enterprise scale with Pyre Farm, and that is really a farm. It's called it the Pyre. Why we called it, so one of the companies, a Canadian company that I'm engaged with directly. Um,
Yeah, we got Mike. Mike asked the question. He said that his first time listener, so he's asking what the pods are used for.
right, right. So pod is sort of a general term for me to replace greenhouse, because this is so far from being a greenhouse that when you say greenhouse, people kind of think they know what it is that we're talking about. And I want to just sort of slow that process down, and even get a question like this: what is a pod? So the closest that you can relate to it is what is a greenhouse. And the reason I can say that is, well, greenhouses are transparent, right? All greenhouses are designed to let the sunlight in, and we look for maximum light transmission, and we have different kinds of glazing, right? Different kind of covers, and they all have different properties for light transmission. Basically, you're always making a trade-off, right, of having materials that are good and strong and durable, but also have a high transparency, right? And glass, of course, is always a candidate for that, and some plastics like semi-rigid, and then of course film, polyethylene greenhouses. People are very familiar with this. A pod is, generally speaking, not using glass or polyethylene film, but we're using transparent or translucent, perhaps is a better word in some ways, fabric. So a fabric material. And a pod today, like there's different scale of use, like the one that we're talking about, the Pyre Farm, 10,000 square foot roof, basically a horizontal roof. But the backyard one is basically like a little dome. It's like a small dome.
Right.
So and it's also vertical. It's quite high, as we were mentioning, like 20 feet high. So how can you reach up there and harvest food that you're growing up above? Is, yes, you have a ladder up to a crow's nest, sort of a little platform up there, where you can harvest more food from the total sort of vertical volume of space. And so pods can look different, but they are a sort of a ecological growing environment.
Yeah, similar to kind of what they're using, in space, reusing everything in the environment, a closed environment for agriculture, and it's you're pretty much mimicking the atmosphere with the bubble technology, which is patented, and that's how you're able to get these high efficiency grows with almost no energy, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And on the technology, there's a lot of technology involved here, which, like I'm saying, the material technology, how you cover this growing environment, the structure, as we were talking about, how it's lightweight and very efficient, very strong, and then the control environment inside, the environmental control. How does that work? We mentioned also it's very low energy, and that there is a process called bubble tech, which is something that you probably never heard of, never seen that. So it does take time We have websites, and like DM us, and we'll definitely answer questions as we go along. How do we save that energy, make it extremely low energy? Well, it can operate in hot climates and very cold climates as well, like minus into the 20s and 40s and plus into the 40s, right? So all of that there's a lot of explanations involved, or a lot of research will help you to get the documents and do that research at our website. The technology is open source, so we don't have any secrets. No secrets. Tell you everything. No, there's no secret recipe here. It's all out there for you to learn it, test it, and convince yourself that indeed it's a breakthrough. And it is a huge breakthrough. Studies in Europe have shown 60 times lower carbon footprint.
Right.
Yeah, not 60% lower, right? 60 times. And theoretically, we go to zero. We're actually zero. So, of course, if you go to zero, you're infinitely better carbon footprint than the other people. But, when you have actual data, you can actually take that data and this, test unit. And this was with the University of Poznan in Poland, and also in Norway at Lindum. And these studies were done under Eco Innovation Program in Europe. Other issues are, when you have that kind of research going on with universities, one of my problems is they don't publish soon enough and often enough. So, we will try to pick up on that slack. We'll try, and that's what we can do with all of our pyronauts. That's why we're saying we're going to collect that data. We're going to know our energy. We're going to know the water that we regenerate. We're going to know if our natural organic nutrient is adequate, right? Is doing the job. We're getting a good high volume of production of our harvest and how much we're harvesting. Even the quality, like we'd like to see universities looking at the qualitative issues too of the food. So all of that, when you get involved in this, even as a pyronaut, even as an individual in your backyard, you may not be a scientist. You may be a horticulturalist. Maybe you're a hobbyist, right, for growing food and flowers and whatever you're doing. We want you to participate in generating data. Yes, so important.
Most definitely, and that's another kind of business aspect we could talk about one day. Is the agriculture data kind of gold mine that is coming, because the current system is so inadequate that the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a total shift. It has to be, So I think that anybody who's interested in kind of a healthy way of living and a more realistic and environmental friendly food supply chain should definitely start looking into these technologies that we're offering, because there isn't any other product out there that's offering anything that I've seen relatively similar.
Yeah, it's a situation where we have a whole lot of technology. We're very much out ahead of state of art, and we're looking for the people who can join in and accelerate the knowledge, building the knowledge around this. And what we don't see is universities and academics and even industry moving very quickly. They all have their issues. They all have different kinds of issues. But when it comes to just innovation, innovation, I think, is accelerated when more people do it.
Right.
And so this is why we're open source. So individuals don't have reasons like, you may have a reason why you can't do it because you don't have a large enough backyard to put one of these pods up. Okay, that's a reason. But if you have the space, if you have the inclination, if you're interested in food, like fresh, hyper local food, you can grow it year round, any climate, zero carbon footprint. Yeah, join in, because yes, there's lots of skepticism, and people will doubt that that's possible. So you do your research, you figure this out, that hey, maybe this works actually, right? You're seeing the history that we have, right? This not happened just recently. I've been at this for 40 years, so lots of background, lots of things you can research. At some point, you're going to say, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to join in and be part of this, right? If people buy electric cars, and when they do that, they feel like they're part of it, right? They feel like, well, they're part of a technology reaching, use, right? And they engage. I mean, if it wasn't for early stage customers, right, a lot of tech wouldn't happen.
Right. Yeah, the early innovators, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The hobbyists, the people that just step in and say, this is exciting, and let's use it, let's do it. So there, if you, for example, if you get a pyropod as a homeowner, and you can grow $20,000 or $30,000 worth of food in this pyropod, and it's going to cost you something like $10,000. Wow, that why not? Yeah, why not do that? That's a very good. If you've got the $10,000, pretty soon you're not spending very much on your shopping, because you got fresh lettuce and all the greens and all the veg and the fruits and different and fish, and you can go out in your backyard and uh, harvest a fish and have it for dinner.
Right. Exactly. And our goal is to eventually make it as turnkey as possible. But first we need our early innovators to step in and try this stuff out as well. So
yeah, of course, it's very disruptive to say that we have free food in that sense, that there's no inputs, and you don't even need to get in your car and drive and look and see, and you don't need to worry about the food inflation, the price of food that you might go out to see to find, on the shelf, or is it organic or not? Like, how is it grown, and is it actually safe, or has some chemicals that you can't even detect, right, in your food? So when you grow it yourself, you can control all of these issues, and I think it's a very valuable thing to have food security as well. Just not to worry about whether food chains, food. The supply chain for our food is extremely complex, and our food is coming from thousands of miles away, generally speaking, right? It may turn out that some of your food is just locally grown, but it won't add up to probably very much, in most cases.
Yeah, and then you're talking about just kind of the extreme waste in agriculture, and the food industry is enormous and could be cut tremendously with this type of technology.
Truly, it's extreme. I mean, in one category, for example, water, where we don't lose any water and we don't ventilate these pods. So a greenhouse, you have to ventilate it to keep it from overheating, or also just to get the humidity that forms, to get rid of that humidity, as they say. You have to let it out. So but our system, you actually condense the humidity, and so you have clean water from air, and you're producing that all the time while the sun is shining. That's just part of how the process works. And if you compare that process to conventional agriculture, the water that you're actually recovering so much water that you can actually use it for drinking, cooking, cleaning, all kinds of reasons why we need water, and it just becomes gray water and goes back into your irrigation for your crop growth. So the differences between what we can do and what is happening in the agricultural crisis with water, because in agriculture they consume the water, man, it is gone, and it is so much that is needed for different crops. So you see, you're stepping out of that paradigm into a paradigm that is basically sipping on that water, and you got so much rainwater typically or other resource of water that it's no longer a case of depletion. There's no depletion of our water resource. Now, that is drastically different than what we see happening around the world.
Yeah, currently the agricultures are draining water tables and leaving people around like Mexico City, just pretty much waterless. So yeah, that's happening at a increasing rate around the world, and it's coming clearer to people that it's due mostly to agriculture. And in my opinion, it seems to be that the
Oh yeah,
longevity of human agriculture has kind of drained and misplaced the resources,
yeah.
and kind of fractured those ecosystems that exist to kind of cool the planet, right?
Mm. Hmm. That is true. So in the water category, we are hands down like in a whole different paradigm. Yeah, because currently all the water is simply consumed. There's no regenerative. People can call agriculture regenerative. It doesn't mean it is regenerative. So you can try, to tell a story about that you changed your ways with conventional agriculture, but I'm telling you, you still consume the water. Does not change. Even for organic growing of food, right? Organic growers that are supplying Whole Foods, the Whole Foods, who do about 20 billion of sales of so-called organic food, but they still use the tractors out there on the field because that's the only way they can grow enough. They still do monocrops, and so they are still part of the general problem of how we deplete water. They deplete water the same way, they can call it organic or call it regenerative, depending on maybe some marketing, but they're still using the same tractor energy. They're still doing monocrops, and they do have problems with pests because they're doing monocrops. Okay, if you do a monocrop, you definitely have pest problems. So how are they actually handling that?
Yeah,
So,
pesticides, right?
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm ranting a little bit here, but it is one of the things about we think we're getting organic food, right? But this is not organic from your local, down the road farmer who brings his surplus to the farmer's market. Whole Foods contracts for a vast amount of commercially grown food,
Yeah.
and believe me, it's not hand grown, hand picked, weeded and so on. It's not.
No. Most of it's our group. Arguably, human trafficking is our food
Oh
supply
yeah,
is
that is true.
you can't
Yeah.
even, it's human trafficking. You can't really deny it, at this point.
Well, there is that problem because, when you take away the tractor, then you have to add back someone who's doing that weeding.
Yeah.
And today, we know that that's immigrants and illegal workers for the most part, and that's a whole other issue, right? But organic food supply is not solving these problems. So I often think, that organic and Whole Foods is a kind of elitism. And when you add it up, it's only 2.5% of the food. So if I want to call it elitist, well,
Right.
2.5% of the food,
Yeah. And
that's
you can
Whole
see
Foods
I mean,
buying
you
that.
just look at Whole Foods prices and you can tell that,
Yeah,
people who are struggling are not going to be eating at Whole Foods. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just to add to the dimension of that for people listening, the estimated retail value of food in the U.S., like grocery store, is something like $1 trillion. The estimated total organic supply is about 40 billion. 40 billion, and of that, Whole Foods has about half, 20 billion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and check my numbers, and come back if that's a little bit off or whatever, but it's not. I'm confident that it won't be far off from the reality. Of course, there's a lot more than $1 trillion in value in our food sector, and that's all the fast food. That doesn't count all the restaurant food and the fast food and so on that's out there. But I'm just talking about the supermarket retail food value.
Right. Yeah, and we're positioned to take, that market share and just, completely mess it up in a sense, which is kind of why the technology has, been back shelved for so long, essentially. So
Mm, mm. And one of the other ones we do talk about in terms of elitism in food and so on is the so-called vertical farming and factory farming that we see, because that's growing an unmeasurably small quantum of
yeah,
food.
at a ridiculously expensive cost too, from what we
Yes,
saw. And
ridiculously.
yeah, like
So
$6 a
that's,
head of lettuce.
yeah, and I must emphasize that's not us. Okay, that's not Solaroof. What we're able to do is beat the lowest cost food supply that's out there.
And do it ethically
Ethically,
and environmentally friendly. Yeah,
truly environmentally.
yeah,
So
yeah,
no song and dance and stories, but you can replicate this yourself in your backyard and prove it out and be part of a movement of restoring good food for everyone, for middle class, working class people that right now are tremendously stressed by increasing food costs.
yeah. And the ones that that don't really kind of pay attention to they're dying of cancer and like at like 30 years old and stuff. You see it
Yeah.
all the time. And that's, in my opinion, that's probably connected mostly to the food chain as well.
Yes, all the sugar, all the additives, all I mean, agriculture, even I would say the organic agriculture is fundamentally toxic. There is also a study which found 30% of all the same toxins in the organic food simply because it's grown outdoors. You can't stop all these pollutants from coming in the water table, from coming in the atmosphere. It's just the world we're living in. And when we grow in a pod, we're growing in a closed environment. It's clean. It's actually a pure, clean environment.
Right.
Sort of like when you have smoke, when you got the forest fires, right? The wildfires, and they say, stay indoors, close your windows, turn on the air conditioning, right? And turn on your air filtration,
Right.
right? Your HEPA filter, and you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Well, this is, the kind of quality that we have in our closed environment system. Clean air, clean water, a biosystem that is regenerative, truly regenerative. That would take another discussion. What do I mean about that? This sort of criticism I'm making about calling some agriculture regenerative when maybe that's like going a little far, to say that it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I got to close up here
Oh,
shortly. It sounds like the landscapers are coming. Uh,
okay.
so maybe we could do another one on Wednesday or Thursday if you're available and try to
Uh,
work out the glitch.
yeah, yeah. Let's look at it and we'll get it out there. And this is great anyway. The word can get out and people can just come and listen and see what we're about. And then decide to look into it more, right? Because this will take research. I guarantee. you know, gotta get into it. And thanks, Mike, for
Yeah,
being
thanks,
here.
Mike, for joining in. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay, Steven. Thank you.
Oh, all right, everyone. Yeah, have a good one. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Richard. And yeah, we'll try and shoot for one either Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll send it out soon.